Welcome to our virtual seminar entitled Building Your Bench, Recruiting, Motivating, and Retaining Talent in the Green Industry for Today and Tomorrow by Chris Samaglio and Todd Downing, Managing Partners of Best Human Capital and Advisory Group, Retained Executive Search, and Strategic Human Resource Solutions. As former executives and leaders, the BEST team has experienced your challenges, and we are here to help. Ask yourself these questions. Do you have the right people on the bus? Are you concerned with building and keeping your bench for today and tomorrow? For many reasons, the green industry does not have enough talent, especially compared to other sectors. Our demographics further complicate the situation, as many professionals who make up our industry are hitting retirement age at an increasingly fast rate. Even though baby boomers make up 25% of the U.S. population, they own 61% of all U.S. businesses, resulting in over 3.5 million businesses being sold in the next 20 years, a veritable tsunami of exits. Generations that follow baby boomers have different values, interests, and lifestyles, making it difficult to find those with the same mindset. Many opt for tech or desk jobs instead of being in a horticultural operation. Demographically, fewer people are in the industry and choosing it as a career, next to brighter and shinier alternatives. Many universities have dropped their horticultural programs altogether in the face of declining demand. For example, we are lucky if there are 3 qualified head growers for every 10 head grower roles in the ornamental, nursery, controlled ag, and cannabis sectors. This ratio is not much different when hiring a president, a sales rep, or a supply chain manager. We simply have not attracted new talent and early career professionals as we once did. I'm Chris Samaglio, a managing partner at Best Human Capital and Advisory Group. The current labor market is historic and ever-changing. Thus, we must continue to identify strategies you can put into action to build your human capital pipeline and current employee engagement for today and tomorrow. Attracting talent to your company and assessing fit to just not the job description, but the behaviors of the job and culture have many intertwined parts. We cannot stress enough that there is no one magic solution, but it is a combination of HR-related initiatives. We are all proud of our companies and rightly should be, but objectively, think like a candidate when marketing your company as a desired career destination. So what do today's candidates want? The top attributes of a company that candidates share they are searching for in a career include social capital, company culture and reputation in the marketplace, training and development, the acquisition of new skills and continual learning, organizational structure, leadership and where there are opportunities for advancement, compensation and benefits equal to the current market, diversity and inclusion. As an industry, we are getting better, but we have more work to do. It is important to note that it is not one solution, but the combination of multiple human resource solutions to create improved talent flow and increase retention with happy team members. In our virtual session, you will learn how to increase your candidate pool by recruiting outside of industry or position restrictions using behavioral interviewing. We will review the intangibles and how important social capital and culture are to improving employee engagement and candidate interest. Training and development. How do we improve existing talent and make sure that you meet their desire for continued learning? Compensation and benefits. The pros and cons of leading, matching, or lagging the market. This session will look at the ever-changing labor market and strategies you can take to build your human capital for today and tomorrow. Now let's look at how to increase your candidate pool by recruiting outside of the industry or position restrictions using behavioral interviewing.
I'm Todd Downing, Managing Partner of Best Human Capital and Advisory Group. A tremendous talent pool is out there from other industries and academic backgrounds. All too often, hiring companies will place a higher level of focus on a candidate's direct experience with their products, process, or customers. How often have you heard companies hiring salespeople with a current book of business, for example, or experience growing one specific variety or managing through one specific software program?
While specific experience is one of three hiring factors, chemistry or culture fit and behavioral talent are the other two factors. Out of these three, the reality is that an individual's experience is not the most important key to success. In fact, experience alone is one of the least important. After extensive research, behavioral talent has proven to be the best indicator of success, followed by chemistry, and then direct experience. Hiring for behaviors is so important to our clients that we have developed a profiling system, along with our friends at Keen Alignment, that we call Best Behaviors. So how do we go from hiring for direct experience in our industry to hiring for the behaviors of top professionals outside of our industry? There is an established process that many Fortune 500 companies utilize in assessing behaviors, which dramatically creates a broader pool of potential candidates from other industries. There are four families of behavioral traits. These are motivation, behavioral traits that address the fundamental drives of an individual and what fulfills a person through work activities outside of the simple desire to earn money. Action, or modes of acting. These behaviors address how an individual actually does their job. These would include management skills, planning, prioritization, initiative, work focus, and stamina. They are essentially job-related functional traits. Interaction, or modes of interacting. Behaviors on how a person communicates interpersonally. Very important in that it looks at how they influence, interact, and get along with others. Essential from a company culture standpoint. Modes of thinking, or how a person gathers information and then processes it. Sort, problem solve, and analyze. They also look at ethical principles and creativity, flexibility, and adaptability. Within these families are 25 specific individual behaviors related to each family of the behavioral traits. The behaviors that are in bold and orange by each family denote a management trait. Thus, special emphasis should be put on these when hiring management and company leadership. Now, let's dig into the behaviors and how they are used in more detail. To correctly identify which critical behaviors are related to the specific role you are hiring, it is suggested you choose 2 from each trait, or 8 total. This is not always the case, as the traits themselves are of prime importance. Here's a more descriptive breakdown of our motivation behaviors, or what drives the candidate. For more information about each behavior, as this is shortened for presentation purposes, please consult the handout we are providing to course attendees. As an example, say we are hiring a new head grower. We begin by having a discussion with the client and relevant members of the team, and through a series of questions, we begin to identify those behaviors that are important while also considering the position, the market, and company culture, as well as what determines success and failure in the role. In our discussions with company leadership, we identify 2 critical behaviors as being responsible and results-driven. which would be important in a head grower. This is a more detailed breakdown of our action behaviors, which has more than any other family of behaviors. These are important because they address how an individual will actually do their job. Through our discussion and strategy session with the client and relevant team members, and through a series of questions, we begin to identify those action behaviors that are important. Here, we also dive into what the previous head grower did well and what mode of acting is critical for success in the position. In our discussions and Q&As, we identify two critical behaviors as being planner and tactician, which would also be important in a head grower role. At this point, you may be looking at this list and thinking, well, wouldn't all of these be important in a new hire? They are. However, through the questions and learning more about the company, we can hone in on those more critical factors for the role and then have the client rank them. Here's a more descriptive breakdown of our interacting behaviors, or how this particular head grower will interact with his or her team. We begin to identify those interaction behaviors that are important for the role through a series of questions. For example, at this company, the head grower will have to be cross-functional team player and keep his and her people motivated during peak growing times, which can be very taxing. In our Q&As, we identify two critical behaviors as connector and inspirer, important to the head grower role. Again, for more information about each behavior, as this is shortened for presentation purposes, please consult the handout we are providing to course attendees. Finally, here's a more descriptive breakdown of each of our last mode of thinking behaviors, which goes to the heart of the candidate's decision-making abilities. We begin to identify those thinking behaviors that are important for the role. For example, at this company, quality is of utmost importance, as well as being flexible and adaptive. In our discussions and Q&As, we identify two critical behaviors as being integrity and trendsetter, important to the head grower role. Now that we have selected two behaviors from each family of traits, thoroughly think through ranking these top behaviors from 1, most important, to 8, not as critical, but nice to have. In our head grower example, through our questioning and company ranking, we have determined the top 2 behaviors as being responsible and tactician, obviously both incredibly important for the role. Once identified, observations and specific behavioral-based questions are developed to listen for the strength of the behavior that the candidate exhibits. Throughout each interaction with the candidate, each behavior trait can be assessed. Let's walk through a couple of specific behaviors that are common to one of the most challenging hires of a head grower and what you will be observing. Candidates are scored on their alignment to the behavior on a scale of 1, low level, to 5, extremely high level. For example, a candidate who cannot answer a behavior-focused question at all would be scoring a 0 or 1. A candidate answering the question with theory, a 2 or 3. A candidate answering with a comprehensive overview of how they actually navigated a real-life experience, a 5. Here's an example of the observation and questions we would be asking around the responsible behavior. It is important to note you are observing and listening not just for the answers to their questions, but you will also be looking at other observable skills and behaviors, which could be body language or just casual conversation. So for a responsible behavior, you would have a question such as, does the candidate, when talking about successes, talk about projects that required extra effort to complete on schedule? The comfortability of the candidate to discuss this with you and share will show you that they are truly responsible with their behaviors and their focus on the job. During conversations, ask the candidate if they have been responsible or involved with a project that missed its committed completion date. Was the candidate upset about missing the commitment? This could be body language. Was any extra effort expended to try to meet the commitment? You can hear this energy in their voice. Look for the observable skills and behaviors. This could be reference checks, minimal days of work missed for other than exceptional circumstances. Were they willing and skilled to make a tough, critical decision in order to keep a project on target? Do they take charge? Do they do whatever is needed to complete a project on schedule? Here's an example of the observations and questions we would be asking around the tactician behavior. Observe, how does the candidate ask questions about the human, technical, and support resources that are available to help meet the needs of this position? Are they able to tie all of these resources together as they share the experiences they've had or the challenges they've had to overcome? During conversations, ask the candidate to describe planning a major project using a real-life example. Again, listen how they pulled in different resources, and is this example very specific? Or ask the candidate to describe a situation in which they were not adequate resources to satisfy the needs of two important projects. How was this situation handled? You can, once again, look at body language. Do they get excited about this? Does their tone stay steady, or does it become more passionate? Other observable skills and behaviors. Do they do a good job anticipating contingencies with alternate planning? This is a key behavior aspect of a tactician. Do they have a plan B? Do they have a plan C? Do they bounce ideas off others for different problems? Are they aware of specific areas of contribution that a person can make because of their special experiences, insights? And do they make creative use of resources he or she does not directly control? Here, with all these observable skills, behaviors, you can learn in off conversations or reference checks. You continue to get alignment on how they pull every department together in order to achieve the goal.
Now that we have reviewed the importance of behaviors in hiring, how do we attract and keep our people? Let's look at the intangibles and how important social capital, or culture, is in improving employee engagement and candidate interest. The figures are staggering. The average tenure of an employee is only 1.5 years. Most leaders and companies consider engagement a major issue, as well as it should be, as 55% of employees are looking and 33% leave in the first 6 months alone. These figures are actually increasing as the Great Resignation continues. Talent joins communities, not companies. A sense of belonging is heightened, and the ability to point to a purpose versus just a job. That attracts people who think of the team first, not just themselves. The events of the last 2 years have left an impact, and now more than ever, multiple generations of professionals are specifically looking for companies with a positive culture and brand image in their industry and community, and a social give back to the world, which is engaged in from ownership down through all employees. Management and leadership set a cultural tone. After all, people leave bad managers, not companies. So how do your leaders lead? Micromanagement is by far the first reason given by candidates why they are looking to leave a company. Social capital, or company culture, is a number one ask from most candidates today. Calm, compassionate, connected management, or authentic, is the common denominator in top cultures. Brand and reputation. How do people view you? How about your customers, the market, and even the industry as a whole? Are they going to see a lot of positive or negative about you online? How does your team work together? Are they efficient, or do you have silos? Do you have a growth mindset? Anything you thought you knew before is out the window. Leaders that are capable of saying, I don't know, but I'm going to learn about that, and we will learn about that together, is important. Develop positive relationships within your direct community to promote your business as a top place to work. This includes city leaders. For example, one grower company developed such a strong relationship that the city council regularly allows them to conduct hiring fairs at City Hall. What could strong social capital mean for you? Here are the statistics, what they look like for companies with highly engaged employees who have a lower turnover rate of 31%. These highly engaged employees are 2 times more likely to remain with their current company, 2 times more likely to help a coworker even if not asked, 3 times as likely to do something good for the company that was not asked of them, 5 times as likely to recommend a friend or family member to apply for a job at the company. Companies with clear, properly communicated, and understood values are 51% more likely to have engaged employees. 78% of employees communicated they would retain or stay longer with their current company if they could see a clear path for their career. Do we have the right people on the bus? One way is to improve your existing talent and make sure you meet their desire for continued learning. As the baby boomer generation exits and millennials enter more senior leadership positions, how will knowledge transfer happen without training? How will succession planning happen without coaching and professional development? Isn't it easier and less costly for the organization to recruit entry level than to recruit middle and upper level management positions? And when your teams receive the training and professional development, what impact does that have on attaining your objectives, improve production, and quality? Training and development of your people needs to be a vital component of the organization. Nothing an organization does or says shows it cares about its people more than when they invest in them through training and development. It should not and cannot replace the need to recruit. Sometimes the time it takes to get an employee to the skill level needed immediately is far too long. And in that situation, external recruitment will be required. But this is the exception and not always the rule. Consider the optics. When you hire outside the organization instead of promoting from within, which an organization might not have done if it had the talent it needed, or training the current workforce, how do you think the employees feel? Numerous studies over the last decade indicate that employees want to know their company cares about them. Employees want to feel like they belong, that they have a future and a career path. So when employees see that the positions they want are handed over to outside talent and remain in their roles with no professional growth opportunities available to them at their employer, how engaged do you think that workforce becomes? Note that an effective training and development program will require an item in your budget. This does not mean it has to be exorbitant, and most are usually tax deductible, but it will require investment at some level. A comprehensive program should begin with and include the following. Onboarding. First impressions matter, and they can be lasting. Every new hire should be set up for success from the first day of work through to 90 days and beyond. Develop an onboarding process where new employees learn about the job, the culture, and how to contribute and thrive. We see many companies stumble in this area. Create an environment that fosters ongoing discussions, goals, and opportunities to address questions and issues. Having something as simple as their business cards and workstation ready on day one is a small way to show your commitment to their success. Define with each employee their growth aspirations, then develop the plan. Mentorship. Preparing a new employee with a mentor will increase their ability to learn the ropes from a veteran with a wealth of resources and experience. Reverse mentoring is equally as beneficial in this process, as the new hire offers a fresh viewpoint to experienced staff. And then coaching, both personal and group. Aligning key leaders and high potential employees with an outside leadership coach has provided companies with quick results and advanced professionalism. There are a handful of well-respected peer-led leadership groups such as professional certifications, advanced educational degrees, industry conferences such as Cultivate, technical product training with key vendors, the HRI Leadership Academy, and Dr. Charlie Hall's Eagle program, just to name a few. Recruiting from the outside is always going to be important to bring new ideas and innovation to the organization. Still, it cannot replace the need to train and develop the current workforce. Recruitment does not drive engagement. Parties, prizes, and recognition are important components of driving engagement in many organizations, but they are short-lived. Only training and development provide the long-term and lasting rise in employee engagement and the desired productivity results.
Now, we will look at compensation and benefits, or total rewards, and the pros and cons of leading, matching, or lagging in the market. First, a note of caution. There are many websites that offer free compensation and benefits information, such as Glassdoor, Indeed, or Salary.com. But please realize these metrics are statistically unreliable as they lack credibility and the appropriate scope for fair market comparison. Please utilize expert third-party compensation advisors. While there is a cost, it is also much more accurate for the size of your business, industry, geographic location, the scope of roles, and much more.
Before we delve into the topic of total rewards, first, a little perspective. Inflation is all around us, and it is impacting every sector of the market, especially when it comes to labor. According to the Consumer Price Index, earning $100,000 in January of the year 2000 has the same buying power as $171,273 in April of 2022. And it is only going up as inflation continues. This poses a challenge for all businesses as we see historic increases in compensation. How do we tackle historic increases in compensation strategically? Utilizing a lead, match, or lag process will help. Lead. This is the most straightforward. In short, you pay more for the talent than the going market rate. After all, who wouldn't want to take a job that pays more than anyone else in the same role in another company? Match. On second thought, perhaps this is the most straightforward. All you have to do is match the current market. Surely candidates will buy into the fact that this is the rate, take it or leave it, right? Lag. Then there's the biggest money saver of them all, and an employer's dream. Pay less than everyone else for the same talent to do the same job. You'll rake in the money and not have to share. Unfortunately, the strategies are not as easy as they sound, but they are the approaches to be employed, and each does have its own place. The organization's compensation philosophy should include an understanding of the underlying strategy you choose from the above. Understanding where the market is for specific roles will help you better set the appropriate compensation for each position and situation. The hard part is when the market is changing right before your very eyes, as in today's market. As Sherm points out in their landmark article on compensation, planning, and design, there is no one strategy that will work for every employer, and organizations will need to ensure the approach they choose matches their mission, vision, and culture and supports the overall business strategy. Rather than adhere to a singular strategy across the organization, especially in the current candidates market, consider implementing a combination of each. As an example, you might choose to lead, an excellent option for those mission critical and very hard to fill roles, where attracting top talent in a timely manner will make or break organizational success. Match, a recommended option for mission important and challenging roles that could just be a pain to fill, and where there is a high potential of attrition due to the market perception. Lag. Many businesses have roles of lower importance, where labor may still be plentiful or where vacancies are less damaging to the organization. This is an excellent option for those roles where the time sensitivity or mission impact is low. Spreading out the strategy in this fashion across roles by importance and impact can soften the blow to your P&L and provide the cash flow necessary to apply the lead strategy used in other roles. However, let's not fixate on cost too much. Not all of your tools revolve around base compensation, direct compensation, or even compensation at all. That's right, the strategies could conceivably look like this. Lead. Mission critical, hard to fill roles include a robust relocation plan, signing bonus, equity or phantom stock, and or a diverse set of perks not offered to any other role in the organization, but offered to all positions in this category. Match. Mission important, high attrition, and painful to fill roles include lump sum relocation of a defined range based as needed, flexibility for remote work, a retention bonus for 2 to 3 years of service, and or an attractive but narrow array of perks offered to all positions in this category. Lag. Low time sensitivity or mission critical roles include a retention bonus for 3 to 5 years of service and or a narrow array of perks. We do not want to equate discussions of compensation with that of base pay only. There are many ways to construct an attractive offer and win the right candidate over the fierce competition. Instead of being fixated on base pay, flexibility can come in the form of bonuses and incentives. If there are concerns about hiring too far outside the budgeted base, are there opportunities to adjust bonuses or commissions? Can you develop variable compensation appropriately tied to key performance indicator metrics that provide revenue breathing room for you to compensate based on performance. When hires occur mid or end of year, a guarantee of a minimal amount of bonus can be made with flexibility tied to their performance. Signing bonus. When using a signing bonus, it is common to have an agreement with a clawback option to help encourage the new hire to remain in their role. 1 year is standard, but there is flexibility depending on the size of the bonus and the level of the position. Retention bonus. Developing a culture people want to work within is critical, but more and more companies are layering in a retention bonus in support of a strong culture. Depending on the business, rewarding an employee after 1, 3, or 5 years with a bonus goes much further than a plaque or a gold watch. Also, as we continue to stress, don't forget about those who have stayed with you, especially during these times of high inflation. Be sure to factor in retention raises to keep your top talent on board. Phantom stock or membership plans are ideal for keeping your team engaged and invested in the company without providing ownership. They would still be entitled to a share of the profitability, and a portion could also be set aside if the company is ever sold. It is as if they had all the perks of ownership without actually having ownership, and it also provides them a sense of security. Get creative. Being competitive in this candidate's market includes benefits offered and growth initiatives. The indirect compensation elements of a total rewards plan, which make a difference.
To review, are you concerned with keeping your bench for today and tomorrow? We reviewed behavioral interviewing and how finding the right hire is more than just checking off the boxes for skills and experience. We also addressed the importance of engagement, especially in this era of the Great Resignation. We also provided you with the employee's perspective and what they want, social capital, training and development, and a total rewards program that matches what you can afford with their worth to the organization. When it comes right down to it, treat people as you would want to be treated. Not a bad rule for business or for life. Thank you for your time today and for attending our on-demand seminar at Cultivate 22. Please email us if you'd like further information, and please consult the handout we have provided with this seminar for more details on behavioral interviewing. We are the best human capital and advisory group. Thank you for attending this on-demand seminar, and have a great Cultivate 22. Keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars.